Hi everybody, my name is Tony Chen Lin and I'm a pianist currently based in Budapest in Hungary. Although right now I'm talking to you from Munich, where I have been stuck for the last 3 months. And today I would like to talk to you about spoken introductions. I should confess from the outset that I wasn't always terribly fond of speaking in front of an audience before having to play, but on many occasions when I did speak, people would tell me afterwards how much it had enriched their listening experience, and that made me rethink and reconsider the value of spoken introductions. And so now I would like to share some of those thoughts with you. A spoken introduction serves two main purposes. The first is to enlighten your listener on the work you're about to perform. Knowing a few things can greatly enhance their appreciation and understanding of the music. Although they can find all this information in the program notes, having to read during a performance can be distracting. So a spoken introduction can concisely communicate all the most important information to everyone in the room. So during your playing, your performance, everyone can just sit back and concentrate on listening. While written text in program notes can be very useful, they can also be a bit impersonal. And that leads us to our second purpose of spoken introductions, which is to establish a connection with your audience. People who sit in an audience may sometimes unconsciously associate prestige or elitism with the stage. They may feel slightly intimidated or even a little looked down upon. And the fact that you, as a performer, are standing on an elevated stage can sometimes further reinforce that feeling. But the moment you open your mouth, you directly acknowledge your audience and break that fourth wall, you're instantly reaching out and endearing yourself to them. This puts everyone at ease, and it reminds everyone, including yourself, that you're really only there to share something wonderful with them. It's remarkable how effective the human voice is. Perhaps that's why singers sometimes have a shortcut to the heart and mind of the listener. Because when I'm sitting in an audience, the moment I hear the voice of the performer on stage, it somehow just makes them seem a little bit more human, a little bit more relatable, and not just a performer. But if not a single word is uttered on stage, there will always be a slightly cold formality that may hinder everyone's enjoyment. And after all, music is best enjoyed when everybody's feeling calm and relaxed and comfortable, and that's exactly how you should make your audience feel. Sometimes this feeling is quite mutual. Oftentimes, straight after speaking to an audience, I suddenly feel much calmer and less nervous, and the audience doesn't seem so intimidating to me. So, a spoken introduction does two things. It both communicates useful information and breaks the ice with the audience in order to create a much more friendly environment for the music to be shared and enjoyed. First of all, start by introducing your composer, including any interesting biographical facts. If you think your composer is less familiar with your audience, you can say a bit more here. And then talk about the story and the inspiration behind the work you're about to perform. I should emphasize that it's very important to do good research here. For example, if your piece is based on an aria from a particular opera, do make an effort to know the name of the opera. And if there's an interesting anecdote that relates to your piece, do tell it. I think audiences enjoy hearing a good story. Secondly, highlight one or two interesting and peculiar features in your music that make it unique. Here you want to pique the curiosity of your audience and whet their appetite a bit for the music that they're about to hear. I find this the trickiest part of the introduction, because it's quite a challenge to strike a good balance between too little and too much information. On the one hand, you want to describe the general character of the music, but on the other hand, you don't want to give away too much. You don't want to over-explain and take away from the magic of the music itself. Here I would also try to avoid being too technical. For example, it may be worth mentioning an important event in the music, let's say an abrupt change in tempo or color. It may not be so interesting for your audience to know that in the recapitulation, the composer happens to use the enharmonic key of E sharp major. Remember, your job here is to act as a friendly guide, pointing out interesting signposts and landmarks in the music that will later on assist your audience in navigating through the music. Finally, share some of your personal thoughts and feelings about the music. You can perhaps explain why you chose this particular work to include in the program. Perhaps it relates to another piece on the program, or perhaps there is a common theme that threads them together. What's important though is that you try to make your introduction concise and interesting. And remember, it's not a lecture recital. You know, I've been to performances in the past where the introduction was much longer than the piece that came afterwards. So try to avoid doing that. Treat your speech like a little performance and rehearse it like you would your pieces. It's very useful to write everything down while you're rehearsing it so it clarifies your thoughts. But don't try to memorize it like a script, because otherwise you may just end up sounding a little robotic and forced. Don't worry about trying to memorize every word verbatim, okay? If you prepare well in advance and you assimilate your text, then when you get up on stage, you will always sound natural and spontaneous in your own words. In the end, the most important thing is to be genuine. There's nothing worse than a musician who goes up on stage and says a bunch of things that they don't really mean or understand. So that's why it's very important to prepare well, research, and rehearse it. And when you're on stage, you can just simply let your enthusiasm for the music show. And lastly, of course, speak clearly, slowly, and don't rush and don't mumble, which is probably what I've been doing this whole time. And finally, I just want to share with you this short clip for your amusement. It comes from the last concert I did in Budapest with my duo partner Sebastian Wies shortly before the lockdown. In this program we played a piece by Gao Ping, and it was kind of a Hungarian premiere. Nobody in the audience had heard it before. And so I decided to say a few words about it in Hungarian. Now, I'm definitely not a Hungarian speaker, although I'm still learning. But with a bit of practice, it isn't impossible. So with that, I just want to encourage you to talk about the music that you're passionate about, even if it has to be in a foreign language. Because I think music transcends language. And to paraphrase a famous quote, even if your spoken words aren't perfect and they don't fully communicate everything to the audience, don't worry, because your wonderful music will do the rest for you. And so with that, I just want to wish everybody happy music making.
Jó estét kívánok, hölgyeim és uraim! A következő darab Gao Ping királyzeneszerző, egy meditatív hangulatú műve, melyet egy földrengés áldozatainak emlékére komponál. A földrengés 2008-ban volt Sichuan tartományban. A katasztrófában közel 90 000 ember vesztette életét. A mű címe Winshan vagy Questioning the Mountains, azaz magyarul kérdez a hegyeket.